Spices, the oil of the 15th century. A huge commodity, high in demand both for flavouring and preserving food, and it was spices that drove the European nobility to head east in search of power, domination and money in the early 16th century. At the start of the 1500s, the Philippines was inhabited by a range of indigenous people, each with their own languages, customs and traditions. These communities lived in different regions across the archipelago of over 7,000 islands and had diverse socio-political structures ranging from small tribes to larger chiefdoms. Indigenous Filipinos practiced animism, a belief system that attributed spiritual significance to natural elements and ancestral spirits. They worshipped various deities and spirits and performed rituals to ensure good harvests, protection and communal well-being. Islam was practiced in the southern islands, as was Hinduism and Buddhism around the territory. Agriculture was the primary livelihood for most indigenous communities. They cultivated crops such as rice, corn, root vegetables and various fruits. Fishing, hunting and gathering also played essential roles in their subsistence. Some communities engaged in skilled crafts like weaving, pottery making and metalworking. Indigenous Filipinos had a rich history of oral storytelling, preserving their history, cultural values and myths through epic poems and folk tales. They also practiced various forms of artistic expression, including music, dance, textiles and intricate craftsmanship in wood, metal and other materials. But that would all change when a boy named Ferdinand Magellan was born in northern Portugal. Born around 1480 in northern Portugal, Ferdinand Magellan was sent to the royal court as a young boy. Hearing tales of Portuguese and Spanish explorers piqued his interest in travelling the seven seas, and by 1505 Magellan and his brother were assigned to a Portuguese fleet headed for India. Over the next 7 years, Magellan participated in several expeditions in India, Southeast Asia and Africa, and was wounded in several battles. Magellan approached King Manuel of Portugal to seek his support for a westward voyage to the Spice Islands. The king refused his petition repeatedly, and in 1517 a frustrated Magellan renounced his Portuguese nationality and relocated to Spain to seek royal support for his venture. At just 18 years of age, King Charles I of Spain granted his support to Magellan, who in turn promised the young king that his westward sea voyage would bring immeasurable riches to Spain. In September 1519, Magellan commanded the lead ship Trinidad and was accompanied by 4 other ships, the San Antonio, the Concepcion, the Victoria and the Santiago. The expedition would prove long and arduous, and only one ship, the Victoria, would return 3 years later across the Pacific, carrying a mere 18 of the fleet's original crew of 270. It was an arduous journey for sure, with the Santiago being shipwrecked and the Victoria's crew mutinying and turning back to Spain, minus its captain. Towards the southern tip of South America lies a strait which now bears the name of Magellan. This was navigated in late 1520 by Magellan, who claimed the straits for Spain. By 1520 in November, with only 3 ships remaining, Magellan entered the Pacific Ocean. After replenishing their food stores in Guam, Magellan arrived in Cebu in mid-March 1521. Very quickly he befriended Raja Humabon, who was the leader of the island of Cebu at the time. Magellan formed an alliance with Raja Humabon, which eventually led to the spread of Christianity in the region. In fact, Magellan is thought to have baptized Humabon and his wife. Magellan hoped to gain access to local resources and establish a trade network by becoming close to the chieftains in the area. The cross Magellan reputedly drove into the ground is still there today, albeit in bits encased in a larger protective cross in the centre of the old Cebu city. On the island of Mactan lived a rival chief called Lapu Lapu, who had quarrels with Raja Humabon. Raja asked Magellan to convert Lapu Lapu to Christianity and swear allegiance to the Crown of Spain, who days earlier had refused Humabon's request. Magellan at once accepted the invitation to interfere in the local quarrel in order to show his might. He and around 60 of his men, all well armed, sailed for Mactan early in the morning on April 27, 1521, to the shores of what is now known as Magellan Bay. So we're here now at Magellan Bay. Now, it's low tide at the moment, and when Magellan arrived in 1521 in this bay on April 27th, it was also low tide. That meant his ships had to moor about a kilometre out at sea, basically where it is today. Now, this was the first big problem for Magellan. It meant he had to come in on smaller boats, and the cannon fire from his ships couldn't reach the shore. According to his chronicler, Pigafetta, an Italian man, apparently there were warriors from Humabon out there on the ships as well, but he told them to stay on the ships because he wanted them to witness the power of the European firepower. Now, this coastline is full of coral, mudflats, mangroves. So when they got off the boats, it would have been really tough for them to get their way to the shore. But when they did eventually get to the shore, they burned some of the local village huts that were close by on the shore. Now, Magellan had muskets, swords, crossbows. They were also fully armoured up with helmets. But the one place where they weren't armoured was actually their feet and ankles, and that was going to cause a big problem for them. Seeing the village on fire, Lapu Lapu and his up to 1,500 warriors came out from behind the village and started to encircle Magellan and his 48 troops that were stuck here on the coral. The warriors had on them campalans, which are like large cutlasses with sharp blades. They also had bancaos, which were spears, and these spears had poison tips, and it was the poison tips that were going to cause the biggest problem. Lapu Lapu was a serious warrior, and he knew that he had to hit the leader, so he instructed his men apparently to hit Magellan straight away. So within seconds, Magellan was surrounded, and they were aiming for his feet to begin with, as they were with all the soldiers, because the feet were unprotected. It didn't take long for Lapu Lapu's men to chop down Magellan. About 6 to 8 people died here from Magellan's side. The rest retreated straight back to the ships. Cannot be confirmed whether Lapu Lapu actually struck down Magellan himself, or in fact that he was even there, but it was definitely Lapu Lapu's warriors who did the damage. Now, they've created this lovely park here now with some statues to commemorate the Battle of Mactan back in 1521. Let's go and take a look. First of all, we've got this lovely stone monument here. It was put up just a couple of years ago to commemorate the Battle of Mactan. Right behind it, the giant Filipino flag as well, flying high. Right behind that monument, we have the man himself, Lapu Lapu, chieftain of Mactan. And beautiful bronze-looking statue here shows what a mighty warrior he is. Now, no one actually knows what happened to him, but rumor is that he was turned into stone and put into the ocean, and there is a statue in the ocean somewhere, and fishermen throw coins in to pay homage to Lapu Lapu as they head out to sea. And here's the final one. It's the Magellan marker itself. This is said to be the spot where Magellan fell, April 27th, 1521, to his death at the hands of the Lapu Lapu warriors. And right next to that stone monument, we have another one. And it says, Ferdinand Magellan's death. On this spot, Ferdinand Magellan died on April 27th, 1521, wounded in an encounter with the soldiers of Lapu Lapu, chief of Mactan Island. One of Magellan's ships, the Victoria, under the command of Juan Sebastian Elcano, sailed from Cebu on May the 1st, 1521, and anchored at San Lucar de Barrameda on September the 6th, 1522, thus completing the first circumnavigation of the Earth. Right behind this marker, we also have a wonderful painting of what it possibly would have looked like back in 1521. You can see the cutlasses being used by Lapu Lapu's soldiers, heavily armored Spanish troops with helmets, but it was their feet and their lower legs that were exposed and was what eventually would take them down. Always strange to think that Magellan wasn't the first person to fully circumnavigate the globe, but it was the 18 people on the ship Victoria that actually made it back to Spain at the end, including Elcano, Pigafetta, but also Enrique, who was a man from Malacca in Malaysia, modern-day Malaysia, who spoke many different languages and basically translated everything for Magellan on the journey. So how is Magellan thought of here today in the Philippines? Well, definitely his arrival in 1521 was the beginning of the Spanish colonization of the Philippines, which lasted well over 300 years. Quite a lot of Filipinos regard him as a very important figure in Filipino history, as he was the first person to actually have contact with anybody here in the Philippines from the West. Many Filipinos, however, do see him as that figure who began the colonization and also the subjugation of the indigenous people here in the Philippines. For these people, though, he's very much seen as the person who started the exploitation and the oppression of the people here in the Philippines. Lapu Lapu, on the other hand, is viewed by all as a symbol of resistance and a national hero here in the Philippines, embodying the spirit of bravery and defiance against foreign invaders. Now, the Philippines was a Spanish colony right up until 1898, and then following the American-Spanish War, it was transferred over to the power of the Americans until 1946, with a brief period of the Japanese taking over the Philippines in the 1940s. And it fully became the Republic of the Philippines in 1946, and it's stayed that way ever since. Hope you've enjoyed this video, finding out about Lapu Lapu, Ferdinand Magellan and the Battle of Mactan. And if you are coming to the Philippines, especially to Cebu, come and check it out for yourself. Right, we'll catch you on the next one.